one of the brightest spots on the Dallas Cowboys' projected 2019 roster as linebacker. The young pair of Jaylon Smith and Leighton Vander Esch have already emerged as one of the league's best duos. But that doesn't mean that the Cowboys have no work to do at the position this offseason. Having Jaylon and Leighton does take a lot of pressure off. Most teams utilize their nickel scheme more than any other these days, which generally utilizes just two linebackers, in the increasingly pass-focused NFL. And thankfully, both Smith and Vander Esch have shown great skills in pass defense. But there's still a semi-starting role to get figured out in the base 4-3 scheme. Damian Wilson has held the strong side or SAM position for the last few years and has an expiring contract. What's more, Dallas has a big decision to make regarding the contract of Sean Lee, which is ripe for terminating with $7 million in salary cap savings possible. It's highly unlikely that the Cowboys would keep both Lee and Wilson. If they decide to re-sign Damian, Lee will be cut to help fund that move and others. If Sean is kept on, Wilson will almost surely be looking for a starting role somewhere else in free agency. Even if the Cowboys do make Lee a cap casualty between now and March 13th, they may still allow Wilson to test free agency and then try to re-sign him later at a discount. He's unlikely to attract the same attention that Anthony Hitchens got last year. Dallas Cowboys LB Joe Thomas, photo by Ronald Martinez, Getty Images. Another factor in all of this is Joe Thomas, a free agent addition last year who provided good depth and could potentially start in 2019. He is scheduled to count $2.2 million against the cap, which is fine for a primary reserve but a bargain for an occasional starter. A core of Smith, Thomas, and Vander Esch gives the Cowboys a good foundation to build from. Smith can play the SAM in the base scheme and Thomas can be the primary backup to Jaylon and Leighton in the nickel. However, going that route would deplete the depth chart. Chris Covington, a 6th-round pick last year, would be the only noteworthy player under contract. Dallas would need to find at least two more guys to fill out the group for 2019. They could look at re-signing backup Justin March-Lillard, who would at least bring some familiarity and veteran experience. But that might still leave them looking for more of a primary reserve, which would be especially vital if Thomas is promoted to a starting role. The projected LB free agent pool for 2019 should make it a buyer's market. Dallas may be able to re-sign Damian Wilson or even add an upgrade, like perhaps the Vikings' Anthony Barr, at a relative bargain. There should be ample options for depth as well. Barring an extremely favorable value opportunity, don't expect the Cowboys to spend a significant draft pick at linebacker. The 4th round is the earliest I could see one going based on other needs, and even then it would need to be someone they really like. Good drafting is why Dallas has flexibility and leverage this offseason. The picks they invested in Jaylon Smith and Leighton Vander Esch appear to have made LB a strength of the team for the next several years. There is still business to attend to, but the Cowboys won't have to be too concerned with linebacker in 2019 thanks to their young stars. There has been a debate going on among Cowboys Nation for more than a year now about the prospects of bringing in Seattle Seahawks safety Earl Thomas. Now with free agency approaching, there are several other names that the Dallas Cowboys could consider when looking to upgrade the safety position. Landon Collins, Tyrann Mathieu, and Trey Boston are several of the many quality and really good safeties that are hitting the free agent market in a few weeks. It's a group with varied skill sets and abilities, which makes the debate even more interesting. The Dallas Cowboys, however, will be able to take a look at all of them when free agency opens March 13th because of one player, Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods, the Cowboys' 5th-round draft pick from the 2017 NFL Draft, just finished his first full season as a starter for the Cowboys and played really well. In 2 years he's shown the ability to cover from the slot, play deep, play in the box, be a force over the middle, and make plays on the football. He's one of the more versatile players on the defense with his ability to play all over the field. That versatility allows the Dallas Cowboys front office an advantage when approaching the names mentioned above. The Dallas Cowboys don't have to be locked into one particular type of safety. When people talk about Landon Collins, they label him a box safety. Earl Thomas is a traditional free safety. Trey Boston is a similar player to Earl Thomas, and Tyrann Mathieu is like Collins. The Cowboys can go into free agency with the freedom to explore their options and do their due diligence when it comes to these players. That's a distinct difference from this offseason to last. Last offseason, the feeling was that the Dallas Cowboys had to go get Earl Thomas. The safety position was so weak that the Cowboys were going to be playing at a disadvantage in the high-flying, pass-heavy NFL. Xavier Woods proved in his first full season that he can be a productive play-making starter in the NFL and should only continue to improve. According to Pro Football Focus, Xavier Woods was 6th in the NFL in passer rating against among safeties with at least 352 coverage snaps. His 62.8 passer rating allowed in his coverage was tied with Eric Weddle, better than Derwin James, Rashad Jones, Adrian Amos, and Malik Hooker. Of the safeties drafted in the 2017 draft class, only Eddie Jackson from the Chicago Bears had a better passer rating against than Xavier Woods. The Dallas Cowboys got a really good player in Xavier Woods, and as they get ready to potentially make a run at a big-name safety, they can feel confident that whoever they end up signing will be a good fit with Woods. He can play in the box or cover receivers and tight ends. You can run more to deep safety looks because he has the range to play it. This year, as opposed to last, they have more certainty at the safety position because of Xavier Woods and the strides he took in 2018. There's no reason to believe that he can't continue to take a step forward for the Dallas Cowboys. His ability to play all over the field allows the Cowboys to be smart and patient in their pursuit of a safety upgrade this offseason. The free agency period in the NFL will be here in a little more than 3 weeks, and the Dallas Cowboys will begin the annual tradition of trying to put together the best 53-man roster that they can come up with. Free agency is just one part of the equation that includes the draft, the signing of undrafted free agents, adding and subtracting from the roster during training camp, and picking up players after the final cut-down day. You can rest assured that Will McClay and the entire pro scouting department is doing their due diligence in anticipation of the March 13th start to the 2019 free agency period. They'll look high and low for players that can come in and be contributors for the Cowboys, even within their own division. Between the New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, and Washington Redskins, there are some interesting names to consider as the Cowboys peruse the free agent aisles of the NFL Superstore. Some of those players like Landon Collins, Ronald Darby, Nick Foles, and Brandon Graham will be new releases that will cost you a pretty penny at the checkout stand. Others like Haloti Ngata will be in the used and refurbished section. And then there are those who could be had at a reasonable or discounted rate. Here are 3 from within the NFC East that the Cowboys could have their eye on. Mario Edwards, defensive line, New York Giants. The former Oakland Raiders second-round pick out of Florida State University has already played for 2 teams in his young 4-year career. That isn't a good sign for Mario Edwards as he approaches free agency for the first time. You don't generally see many top 100 picks get released from the team that originally drafted, as they usually wait as long as they can to see if the player is going to hit. Mario Edwards, he found himself caught in a numbers game and outplayed by 2 rookies in Oakland's training camp in 2018, leading to his release. It also sounds like the Raiders couldn't quite figure out where to put him on their defensive line. Know that the Dallas Cowboys love looking around the league for those reclamation projects. Edwards could be the next David Irving or Antoine Woods. A player that isn't highly thought of but in the right situation and with the right coaching could flourish. Edwards has played 14 or more games in 3 of his first 4 seasons, missing his second season with a hip injury. He totaled more than 2 sacks a season in those 3 seasons. He isn't by any stretch of the imagination someone who is going to come in and replace DeMarcus Lawrence or Randy Gregory, but he could be a nice depth piece with potential to see significant snaps both at defensive end and 3-technique defensive tackle. Edwards could be the next Rod Marinelli special. Jordan Matthews, wide receiver, Philadelphia Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys could be in the market for a slot wide receiver this offseason if Cole Beasley is allowed to walk in free agency, which seems like a near certainty. There are several intriguing options on the roster in Allen Hurns and Cedric Wilson that could play in the slot some, or play on the outside, allowing Amari Cooper to play in the slot. They could also look to the draft for Beasley's replacement as well. In the free agent pool, there are several interesting names, one of which is Jordan Matthews. Jordan Matthews just finished his second stint in Philadelphia, and while he didn't have huge production in Philly in 2018, 20 receptions on 28 targets for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, he's a player with a track record in the NFL and could be a big slot option. In Matthews' first 3 seasons in the NFL, he averaged 75 receptions on 115 targets for 891 yards and 6.3 touchdowns in his first stint with the Philadelphia Eagles. In 2014, Matthews caught 64 of his 67 receptions from the slot, which was second in the NFL that season. In 2015, he led the NFL in receptions from the slot with 81, while also scoring 8 touchdowns. In 2016, his final year with the Eagles, he was 9th in the NFL with 53 receptions. So, in those first 3 seasons in the league, he averaged 67 receptions, 796.3 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He caught 8 touchdowns in each of his first 2 seasons for the Eagles in the slot. He's not the same player that Cole Beasley is, but he's a player that knows how to win in the slot, and because of the past couple of years could be a cheaper option to try and replace Cole's production. Jamison Crowder, wide receiver, Washington Redskins. If Jordan Matthews is the inexpensive option for the Dallas Cowboys in the slot, Jamison Crowder would require paying a pretty penny. Spotrac.com estimates that Crowder could be worth $8 million per year over 4 years on the open market. Interestingly enough, he's never been as productive as Cole Beasley or Jordan Matthews, but because of his age and his work the last couple of seasons, injuries notwithstanding, he's seen in a more positive light than Matthews. Crowder is cut from a similar cloth as Beasley. Smaller in stature and uses quickness and speed to win games. As Cowboys fans, we know all too well the effect that he has in-game. Crowder, however, has never had more than 66 receptions in a season and has only scored more than 3 touchdowns once in his 4 seasons in the NFL, back in 2016 when he scored 7. Crowder is coming off of an injury this season that limited him to just 9 games, 29 receptions for 388 yards and 2 touchdowns. In his 3 full seasons prior to 2018, Crowder averaged 64 receptions on 93 targets for 746 yards and 4 touchdowns. If for some reason, his market comes in less than the $8 million per year that Spotrac.com is projecting, I'd be very interested in bringing Crowder to Dallas. Each of these guys offers something intriguing that the Dallas Cowboys could use. Whether it's a defensive lineman or a slot wide receiver, they all bring something to the table. The Dallas Cowboys need to approach this offseason with a go-for-it mentality, but if they continue to follow their free agency philosophy, Mario Edwards and Jordan Matthews could be nice pieces to add to the team that offer a lot of upside. It's no secret that the Dallas Cowboys are heading into the 2019 offseason looking to upgrade at the safety position on a defense that finished inside the top 10 in 2018. With much of the focus on Earl Thomas, New York Giants safety Landon Collins has become the center of attention in the last couple of days. Per a report by Josina Anderson, Collins cleaned out his locker on Wednesday as he gets ready to go into free agency for the first time. I'm told that Giants' Landon Collins cleaned out his locker today at the team facility and said his goodbyes to teammates, coaches and trainers. It doesn't seem like Collins expects to be a Giant for much longer, per sources. After Paul Schwartz attempted to assert that there was no claim to the report. Attention those who care about the New York Giants, Landon Collins has not cleaned out his locker at the team facility. Repeat, Landon Collins has not cleaned out his locker at the team facility. Go about your business and have a nice day. And Landon Collins had this to say. https://twitter.com/thehumble_21/status/1098315997831599782. If cleaning out a locker is any kind of evidence, then Collins is prepared to hit the market when free agency opens on March 13. He joins a loaded safety group that includes Thomas, Houston Texans safety Tyrann Mathieu, Los Angeles Rams safety LaMarcus Joyner, Glover Quinn of the Detroit Lions, Ha Clinton Dix formerly of the Green Bay Packers, but most recently of the Washington Redskins, and several others who could find new homes this offseason. The Cowboys are very familiar with Landon Collins, as they've seen him nearly twice a year over the last 4 years. The three-time Pro Bowler was one of the best players on the Giants' defense. They would line him up in the box and at times use him to cover Cole Beasley. Collins ranked first in the NFL according to Pro Football Focus in run-stop percentage at 7.2%. Meaning on running snaps, he made a tackle that rendered the running play ineffective 7.2% of the time. For further reference, Jeff Heath made a run stop on 4.2% of his run plays, which was 15th in the NFL among safeties. The only positions to have more of an impact on the running game were linebackers and the defensive line. Even if you include linebackers, his run-stop percentage was 31st in the NFL. Leighton Vander Esch led the Dallas Cowboys with a run-stop percentage of 11.3%, which was third among linebackers. Collins' number nearly matched the run-stop percentage of Jaylon Smith at 7.6%. Add Collins to a defense that stops the run as well as the Dallas Cowboys did last season and you take your team to another level against the run. Landon Collins will probably get the most money this offseason. He's only 25 and has had success in the NFL. Many teams will be reaching out to Collins when free agency opens, and the Dallas Cowboys should certainly be one of those teams. Collins would be an excellent addition to the Dallas Cowboys defense and would allow Xavier Woods to stay in his role as the free safety. We're just under 3 weeks away from the start of NFL free agency and the drama will only get bigger as the Cowboys look to add to their team.